Hello my friends and welcome back. Today, Monday, new week, and we will continue on the topic of Kursk invasion by the armed forces of Ukraine. There is so much that happened throughout the weekend. I gathered every last bit of footage, photo, information, everything. Ukrainians are really good with their OPSEC on this mission, on this invasion or liberation, however you call it. They're so good that everything that we have, almost everything, comes from Russian sources. And that's even better because we get their point of view on the onslaught of the Ukrainians on Russian territory. It's beautiful. In this video, when it's done, you will know everything, you have seen everything that is published about the Kursk invasion up to date. It's 12th of August. By the time you receive it, some stuff might have been changed because things change really fast there, but I will bring you methodically everything. And since there's so much, I have divided it into segments, and I will go through the segments and then through again. I will make circles, otherwise one segment would get too one-sided. But we'll begin with Russians surrendering because there's an insane amount of footage of Russians surrendering and I want you to see all of it. In this video we can see an entire platoon of Russian troops surrendering, and looking at the beards, the only troops who wear beards like this en masse are Kadyrovites. So these are Kadyrovites, and look at this dude because we're going to talk about him later. It's kind of special. I'll save it for later. This dude is special. These are Kadyrovites, TikTok soldiers, or the Akhmat Kadyrovite special forces of Ramzan Kadyrov of Chechnya. Well, turns out they're not much of a fighters as we could expect. They are TikTok soldiers. Oh, this dude is without a shirt. Well, a whole platoon, we're talking 30 plus guys right here. And as I mentioned, this same dude, look what he's wearing. Now, I don't know much about it, but I just found it, so it's a big story. But apparently this hoodie he's wearing, and he was captured wearing this hoodie in a wartime zone or near a wartime zone, is worth 2,300 USD. I don't know about you, but for me that is a huge amount of money. So if he is in a war zone with this hoodie, this means he gotta get a lot of money. And I know the situation of Russian soldiers, they're not getting anything. Stormtroopers, they're dead before they see anything, and this guy is in a war zone with $2,300 hoodie. What do you think about this? Now the second segment here is memes. And I have three segments. I'm gonna jump like that, making circles so you guys don't get bored of one segment. This is a huge Russian propaganda campaign in Russia with these huge billboards outside the city saying "Graница Россия nigде," which means Russian borders are nowhere, which means Russia is so big that they don't need borders, everything is Russia. Well, Russia has no borders, and Zelensky says, well, if you insist, implying their 8 brigades entering into Kursk, pummeling Russian rear areas without lubricant. Now, my friends, the news that you clicked on this video for, because it is not clickbait, Russia did lose up to 1,000 troops in one hit, one HIMARS strike. Not clickbait, this is the bloodiest attack, a single attack of this entire full-scale invasion. Now, what you can see on this video is Russian convoys filled with troops and conscripts, by the way. Russian military system is strange. They use conscripts mixed with regular forces. So in most Russian squads, when there would be no war, there would be half conscripts and half regular soldiers, like 4 conscripts and 5 regular soldiers. Now in Ukraine, they mostly have not sent conscripts, but in Kursk, you know, it's not Ukraine, they are sending conscripts, which is the guys who just go to do their mandatory military service for 1 year. Young guys, just finished high school. These trucks are filled with these guys. They're all conscripts. Putin is using them to take back Kursk or push out the Ukrainians. And this is a massive convoy. We're talking like 20 trucks filled to the brink with troops. And they're speeding towards Kursk. Of course, Ukrainians know they're coming because obviously they're coming. It's Kursk. I mean, Putin wants Kursk back, the Kursk southern areas. So what happened to these troops? Well, my friends, we have photos on the ground, videos on the ground and videos up in the air. We know exactly what happened. Ukrainians struck this entire convoy with pinpoint accuracy with HIMARS cluster munitions. They have tungsten balls, very small tungsten balls by tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands per shot. They fill the air with tungsten rain, so dense it would make anything into red mist. That's exactly what happened to this convoy of conscripts that Putin used as cannon fodder, obviously. This entire convoy is destroyed, up to 20 trucks filled to the brink with men. We're counting up to 1,000, maybe less, maybe more, in that ballpark of casualties with one single hit, all KIA. This is the single most devastating attack of the full-scale invasion. Jumping back to the prisoners of war or Russians surrendering, here we have another surrender ceremony. 2 full squads of Russian conscripts surrendering to the armed forces of Ukraine in Kursk. As you can see, the guys are clean-shaven, they're quite young. That usually says that they're conscripts, because on the front, Russian regular troops, their hygiene is really bad and they're dirty. I mean, conscripts look like that, not regular troops. So they're all put inside this Western armored personnel carrier and driven into Russia, where first thing they do is call their parents. 2 full squads. Now we jump to the memes again, because honey, tie me up and do whatever you want. Ties up the woman, honey, and the guy is watching the Kursk invasion because it's so interesting and so much is happening. I understand the guy on this photo because I was doing that also. I'm not making a video on Saturday or on Sunday, but I'm trying not to work, but it's so much is happening. I find myself on the toilet seat just scrolling the Kursk invasion. I know some of you guys are there also. It's like refreshing. What's happened now? Which settlement is taken? It's so damn interesting. Now, my friends, a little inside information about Russian civilians living in those settlements or in the settlements that are not yet liberated by Ukraine in Kursk but soon might be. I'll read you the report and it's pretty horrifying. There are no police, firefighters, medics or representatives of the Russian administration. Russian settlements, according to official information, have been abandoned by more than 76,000 people. Most people left on their own as there was no organized evacuation, contrary to the Russian authorities' statements. Depopulation of villages became a catalyst for rampant Russian looting among the remaining population. So Russians saw that most of other Russians from those settlements were leaving because they didn't want to be in the frontline zone. So those Russians who stayed started looting their neighbors and the shops and the people they know. Russians looting Russians while the armed forces of Ukraine advances. War brings out the worst in people and the best in people. I would say war brings out the worst in Russians and the best in Ukrainians. Stores are being looted. There is a collapse in Gorenova. Magnitschast has been robbed. No water, no gas, no light. This is the situation in the settlements not yet liberated by Ukrainian forces, but on the very edge of the front line, under Russian control. Obviously, the Russian governance in those settlements has completely collapsed. Going back to the prisoners of war situation, here is another 2 squads being captured. I am assuming these are conscripts. Some of them are lying on the ground being checked. 3 of them are standing doing the acrobatics, you know. 2 full squads again. I mean, in this video altogether, we have 2 full platoons now being captured in this video only, and not everything is filmed. So the prisoners of war from Kursk, the numbers are mind-boggling. Now I'll bring to you another meme to keep this video a little bit lighter. This is a photo of the meeting of Putin and the Security Council of Russian Army. There is Gerasimov, there is Putin, there is Shoigu here. You can see Belousov is here. I think this is Belousov, the Minister of Defense now. So this is the face Putin made. He knew he was on camera, but he still couldn't help it. I mean, this is the face you make where everything is going according to plan. Kyiv taken in 3 days. And when the Kursk invasion began by armed forces of Ukraine, Gerasimov on the first day reported to Putin that Ukrainian forces have been pushed out, and now a week later there are up to 8 brigades in Russia and they're liberating bigger and bigger areas. This is the face you make where everything is going according to plan. Look at this map, my friends. Here you can see the latest area the Ukrainians have liberated. This is up to 500 square kilometers right now. This is Kursk city. This is Kurchatov city, where Kursk nuclear power plant is located. And this is Rilsk city. The green line in between is the E38 highway that connects Kursk and Rilsk and also Kurchatov. It is the main supply artery of the Russian army in this entire area, and of course power plant supply line. Now what the Russians have started to do, we have reports about this from the Russian side, that they have started to dig a new defensive line, new trench line right on this highway a little bit before it, obviously to protect this supply artery from the armed forces of Ukraine. But you know why it is so stupid? Because if you dig your trench line in order to protect the road behind it, but you dig it right in front of that road, you don't really need to take the trench line to cut the road. All you need to do is have fire missions on it, you have fire control on it, which Ukrainians already do, because this huge convoy of men I mentioned before was destroyed on this very same highway. So what's the point of digging this trench line if Ukrainians control this road anyway with their artillery? And it's the way Russians think sometimes. Doesn't make sense. Also, there are two defensive lines near Sucha and here where my cursor is right now, and they cost 15 billion rubles to dig and build, and Ukraine has overrun them in one day. So what can they do now with this new defensive line here? I'm not sure. It's stupid, it's illogical, but it's the Russians, that's how they do things. And my friends, going back to the prisoner of war situation, this is the last news actually. The prisoners of war segment is over. That's the last one. Another platoon of Russian soldiers. So now in this video, we have visually confirmed 3 platoons captured in the last 2 days. Because in Friday, these videos weren't public yet. 3 platoons in 2 days. That is beautiful. Going to the meme segment. This is a map of countries colored, only those countries who have liberated areas of another country that is a nuclear power. As you can see, it's only Ukraine. Only Ukraine has liberated another a nuclear country's territory. There's a little mistake though. Before you go crazy with the comments, I know Argentina attacked the Falkland Islands and Britain was already a nuclear power then. But that's as much as I know. 2 countries in the entire world. Correct me if I'm wrong here. Now, my friends, here is another video of Ukrainians liberating yet another settlement, Kyiv, which is, I'll show it to you on a map. I just don't want to show it before I show the footage, because some people say, oh, where's the proof? It's trust me, bro. It's not trust me, bro. It's watch the video. It's in Kyiv. And they're installing a Ukrainian flag. And let me show you where it is on the map. As you can see, they are expanding eastwards from their liberated territory. Kyiv is right here under the armed forces of Ukraine. Since there's no more prisoners of war, I gotta go back to the memes. And this is priceless. I hope YouTube accepts this one. Not so deep. I'm a nuclear superpower. And Nikki Huntsman says, that's me, lol. I guess, you know, she's a porn star, I guess. Because that's you know. And as much as I understand, NAFO fellas are now accepting Nikki Huntsman as an honorary member of the supporting group of armed forces of Ukraine. Beautiful. Now that I've shown you one video of a liberated settlement, I think you trust me. I don't have to show you every last one because there's too many to show. In the last week, Ukraine has planted their flags with live manpower, not with drones, like men who are present in those settlements, controlling the areas in these settlements. Sverdlikova, Lebedevka, Nikolaeva Darina, Nizhny Klin, Darina, Gogolevka, Rubanshina, Aleshnia. I'm not going to read you all of it. Look, it's 29 villages liberated. 29. It's a crazy list with 1 week. And there are photos and videos of every last one of them. We're going back to memes because there's so many spicy ones. This is the face Putin made with the chief of staff meeting. Oh, shit. That wasn't a fart. Oh, no. I hope YouTube accepts it. Now, my friends, what you can see on this video, it is not a drone. Well, it is a drone, but it's a land drone, or more precisely, it is an Armed Forces of Ukraine robot dog. Now, obviously, like what the Russians try to do with these dogs, mount an RPG on it, I mean, that's pointless. But these dogs do have a purpose in very, very localized reconnaissance missions to check out an area, to scout an area, check it if it's safe, some buildings for example. The battery lasts for 2 hours and you can move around with this dog, checking hallways, houses, rooms, if they're empty, if you can enter them. So they have a very specific place in localized reconnaissance. And of course, here's another video of the dog. It's a sniper guy right here, checking if he can go to his position, and the dog is also camouflaged and he can check out the route to the position. They can make snipers, for example, or reconnaissance groups' lives so much easier. Now, my friends, I'll bring to you something funny. This tank is a Russian T-72. But wait, it's actually captured by a Ukrainian soldier. But wait, the Ukrainian soldier was a mechanic and electrician of the machines, so he installed a new sound system on it and now blasts Gangsta Gangsta by the Dr. Fresh in Kursk. Check this out. Oh yeah. That is perfect. I hope they do that with every last captured Russian tank. That would be so colorful. Now, my friends, I'll read you another report of a Russian soldier in the Kursk Oblast. Since Ukrainians don't do reports because their OPSEC is near perfect with this mission, we gotta go with the Russian sources. But I think it's good because, you know, it balances out the reports situation for us. Next, unfortunately, there are no good news again. The knockout of the enemy from Martinovka, which happened today, became our only successful episode to date. Next day, the enemy advanced. Unfortunately, the data of the Ukrainian armed forces entering Makhnovka was confirmed. Now there is objective control data for the... That means tomorrow we may finally lose Suja. But the bad news is in the area didn't end there. There is also information that the enemy was seen in the village Rehi. Moreover, not just small groups, but infantry on heavy equipment. If this is so, then the enemy is deeply enveloping our group in Sucha, and preparing to springboard for movement to the south and east. Here, unfortunately, we don't yet see a particular dense battle formation, and the enemy has a lot of reserves. So Russians paint a pretty gloomy picture for themselves. Why would they lie about this? I trust this report. In this video, my friends, you can see Ukrainian troops advancing in Kursk Oblast with their biolabs weaponized geese army. Russian propaganda usually says that Ukrainians have weaponized mosquitoes who are from biolabs weaponized pigeons. Well, they don't know the truth. Ukrainians are much further than we expected with the genetically mutated animals to weaponize to fight for them. Here we have geese. These geese are deadly. They can bite. With one bite, the poison will envelop the Russian soldier and they will be knocked out cold. These weaponized geese are a terror weapon. It's a joke, of course. If you didn't understand, it's not real. If you really believe in Russian, like, there's no biolabs in Ukraine. I feel like I have to say this because I never can make fully sure if my jokes get through. Now we go back to serious stuff for a moment. The operation by Ukrainian troops in the Kursk region has been planned for a long time. This was stated in an interview with the Financial Times by former Minister of Defense of Ukraine, Andriy Zagorodnyuk. Zagorodnyuk said it inclines diverting Russian troops fighting elsewhere in Ukraine, as well as bringing the war home to Russians and discouraging them from supporting the war effort. It also aims to expose Russia's weaknesses, including its inability to protect its own border and to try to seize the initiative a year after unsuccessful counteroffensive, following the months of Russian gains. Now, the main goal I read out of here for Ukraine is to force Russia to send big, huge reserves to Kursk area, an area Russia wouldn't even need to hold any troops in because nobody will attack it. Well, now Ukraine did attack it, and Russia is forced to divert huge reserves, obviously from other frontal areas where these reserves would be used for assaults, unfortunately maybe successful assaults taken territory, well, now they cannot be used there because they have to be in Kursk, wasting time and resources. Now, a Russian State Duma member, Andrei Gurulyov, urged not to expect a quick victory over Ukrainian forces in the Kursk region, acknowledging that Ukraine has deployed significant resources for their offensive. He noted that the situation would require extensive and prolonged effort, contradicting earlier optimistic claims of a swift resolution. Now, this is a State Duma member, a very high up hierarchy of Russian power structure, and he says for people to expect a very slow and grinding pushback if they're able to push the Ukrainians back at all. On 10th of August, another Ka-52 attack helicopter Alligator was shot down and supposedly point blank range with a Ukrainian man-pad. So this makes it the third aviation asset lost. We have Ka-52, we have Mi-8, and now another Ka-52. So for the Russian Air Force, Kursk invasion is also very, very bad news. Now talking about Ukrainian goal to force the Russians to send huge reserves into Kursk, up until now we did not have any reports that Russians would actually do this, but yesterday information came through. They are actually sending an insane amount of troops into Kursk. Putin really does not like that Ukrainians are in Russian territory. So he's taking forces from all of the occupied areas, sending huge amount of units into Kursk to push this back. Because if they don't, Kursk city and the Kursk nuclear power plant, I mean, this is enough. Ukrainians don't even need to occupy or liberate these areas. The fact that they threat these areas forces Russia to act. So just the fact that Ukrainians now are there, they wouldn't even have to take any new territory. They would just need to dig in. That forces Russia to divert huge resources into the area. And it is happening. I will bring you to list of units that we know confirmed are to be sent. Here is the list of units. I'm not going to read it all to you. You can pause the video. This is according to FPV footage and every different footage that we have about Russian troops' movements. I mean, I would guess this is half of the units they will send. They will send much more. But already based on this, tens of thousands of troops have started moving, Russian troops have started moving towards Kursk region. Now let's take a very short look at Ukrainian tactics and how they have worked in the first week of this invasion. According to this report, Ukrainian units have worked in a similar way that Russian units worked in the first week of the full-scale invasion. They rode on the highways very far, only occupying areas next to highways, and then 1-2 weeks later they started connecting these different highways and eliminating the pockets. Now Ukrainians are doing the same thing. They drove with the reconnaissance groups very far into Russian territory, only controlling the highways. And then a week later they're now connecting these highways and the pockets will form, and they methodically clean out these pockets where we get all of these Russian prisoners of war because they surrender, because they are surrounded. That's the tactics Ukrainians are using right now. As you can see, Ukrainian forces are just advancing through settlements, through cities. These are high rises, like 10 stories, 15 stories, in a dense urbanized area. Ukrainian tanks ride unopposed because most of the soldiers have surrendered, just taking the settlements one by one. Sometimes no shots are fired. Russian soldiers just surrender. It is insane. I will end with the Kursk topic today with this photo. As you can see, Kursk 10 kilometers. So that's how far. This is of course not the main Ukrainian force. It's obviously a recon group, but that's enough. Recon groups go ahead. Some soldiers already surrender. Main force follows. Then they connect the pockets, eliminate the pockets. Huge amount of POWs, and they just liberated a huge land. That's how they do it. Well, my friends, now you have seen every last important video that has come out of Kursk or photo, and you know all the overlying information. Next video I'll make on Wednesday for you, and then I'll give you everything new again, so you would always be up to date about this Kursk incursion. But before I go today, I want to read you, or actually butcher some Buy Me a Coffee monthly members. Colonel Mann, Terry Young, G. Putersnaps, Larry Allen Weaver, Jackson Legge, Tim Winfield. If you want to support the channel or if you like my videos, then become a monthly member and buy me a coffee, and I'll be butchering your name to oblivion. Until my next video, my friends, Slava Ukraini, and bye-bye.